There's an odd thing that happens with MMA fighters. Some guys will get instant love and adoration after only a handful of fights. See Khamzat Chimaev, for example. Whilst others can go through their whole fighting careers without ever getting the respect they fully deserve, no matter how they perform and irrespective of the runs they put together. Today, we're discussing the most underrated fighters of 2022, so stay with us. First up, it's Neil Magny. Magny has been a staple of the UFC's welterweight division for the past 9 years and has fought a who's who of absolute killers. A 26-fight veteran of the promotion, Magny still doesn't get the respect he deserves, and although he's currently ranked 10th in the division, he cannot seem to crack the top 5. Currently in the middle of a run which has seen him win 5 of his last 6 fights, you will rarely hear Magny's name mentioned when discussion about title shots or the top guys in the promotion takes place, which might be seen as odd, given the fact that he holds wins over legends of the division such as Carlos Condit, Robbie Lawler, and Hector Lombard. Some have suggested he should have gotten his title shot following his 7-fight win streak in 2015 when Lawler was champion, which must be even more frustrating for Magny given his 2020 win over the former champ. He's currently 19-7 in the UFC and for this alone deserves more respect on his name. And having defeated 3 former champions so far in his UFC career means he's one of the most underrated fighters in the whole of MMA right now. Next up, it's Gegard Mousasi. Stay tuned. 36-year-old Dutch martial artist Gegard Mousasi is easily one of the most underrated fighters of his generation. Even right now, having been beaten once in the past 6 years, some people just don't understand what they're watching. The man is an absolute killer. Holding a professional record of 49-7, which itself is insane, Mousasi was last out earlier this year, embarrassing Mr. Van Zandt himself, Austin Vanderford, via TKO in the very first round. And his whole career has largely taken a similar route. Holding 12 wins from his past 13 fights, there's a thought amongst fans of the game that we are currently seeing the best of Mousasi, who left the UFC in 2017 due to the pay over at Bellator being much better, amongst many other factors. Like Magny, Mousasi has wins over some legendary fighters, including Vitor Belfort, Dan Henderson, and Lyoto Machida, and has even caught the admiration of one of the best to ever do it recently. Khabib Nurmagomedov, many people's GOAT, has suggested that Mousasi is, in fact, the most underrated fighter in MMA today, and that is a hard stance to disagree with when looking at the man's deep record. What have you made of Mousasi's career so far? We're talking about Arnold Allen next. Stay with us. Arnold Allen is an enigma. The Englishman who many have suggested should be next up against Alexander Volkanovski to challenge for the Aussie's title is currently riding an 11-fight win streak, but he still doesn't really get the love he deserves. One of the reasons for this could be the fact that he only tends to fight once a year, but even still, the man hasn't been beaten for 8 years. With a record of 18-1, the Ipswich fighter is solid everywhere, and as Dan Hooker found out recently, possesses some serious striking skills. The way he dispatched the bigger Hooker had everyone in the division sit up and take notice, with some Allen champions, Ariel Helwani included, suggesting he's now in a position for a shot at featherweight gold. Following his first-round destruction of Hooker, Allen suggested a fight against Calvin Kattar next time out could make the most sense, and it's these sort of fights he needs if he's going to get that title shot, as he hasn't beaten anyone in the top 10 right now. Who do you guys think Allen should fight next? Let us know below. Next, we have Bryce Mitchell. Mitchell is the name and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is the game. Bryce is one of only 2 men, the other being the Korean Zombie, who has ever finished a fight via twister submission. The insanely talented BJJ expert currently sits 9th in the featherweight division, but most people within the game agree that he's seriously misplaced in those rankings, probably by about 5 spots. Add to this the fact that he's still unbeaten and currently holds a record of 15-0. His recent unanimous decision win against featherweight legend Edson Barboza should serve as a testament to the fact that this guy is one of the hottest prospects in the entire UFC. He has finished 60% of his fights via submission, and although some of his outspoken comments have come across as slightly controversial recently, his talent cannot be denied. But many people are sleeping on Bryce Mitchell, which they absolutely should not be. Do you see Mitchell as a future champ? Beneil Dariush is up next. Stay tuned. Dariush was forced out of his title eliminator against Islam Makhachev recently, and currently sitting 4th in the lightweight rankings, there is an argument that he isn't underrated at all. But the amount of work he's gone through to get to his current rank is insane. After a bit of a wobble back in 2017 when he suffered defeats against Alexander Hernandez and Edson Barboza, he got back on track and is currently on a 7-fight win streak, dispatching of the ever-dangerous Tony Ferguson last time out. An 8-year veteran of the UFC, he is now only only just starting to get the recognition he deserves. But even when the Makhachev fight was suggested, he was still only being spoken of as a gatekeeper for the upper echelons of the lightweight division. It will be interesting to see who he takes on next, and hopefully he can cement a title shot in the next year, as no one in the lightweight division is currently putting together a better run than Dariush. Are you a Benil fan? We're talking about Yaroslav Amosov next. Stay with us. If you mainly focus on UFC to get your MMA fix, you might not have heard of Amosov, but the Ukrainian is a legitimate killer. Having dethroned world-class fighter Douglas Lima in his last outing to claim the Bellator welterweight title, Amosov is currently undefeated. He's won all 26 of his fights, proving that he's solid all over the cage. He boasts 9 knockouts as well as 10 submissions, showing that he's well-rounded all over the cage. Having moved to Bellator from Russian promotion Tekkrep FC back in 2018, he's carried on his destruction of all comers, and at just 28 years old is young enough to dominate the division for years to come. There have even been suggestions from within the Bellator organization that he could be good enough to beat UFC welterweight champ Kamaru Usman, which is quite the claim. However, Amosov is unbelievably talented and should not be slept on. A video recently surfaced of Amosov in his native Ukraine where he had traveled to help in its defense from the Russian invasion. In the video, Amosov is seen retrieving his belts from a rubble-strewn building. With all this going on, the man is still one of the most feared men on the planet. What do you guys make of the Ukrainian's career so far? Jack Shore is coming through next. It's possible you haven't heard of Jack Shore just yet, but you will, don't worry. The Welshman, who is currently undefeated, has won his first 5 UFC fights so far and has just made it into the bantamweight rankings, currently occupying number 15. Shore, who has completed at featherweight, is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt under his father Richard Shore and has won 8 of his 16 fights to date via submission, proving that he wasn't simply gifted the black belt by his trainer father. Shore is also a former Cage Warriors champion, which he defended once before being poached by the UFC. Is Shore on your radar? Definitely one to watch for the future. And finally, it's Shavkat Rakhmonov. Don't go anywhere. Kazakh Sambo expert Rakhmonov, who now fights out of Sanford MMA in Florida, is so far unbeaten in his fledgling career. But so what, we hear you cry? There are plenty of unbeaten fighters, right? Well, yes, but Rakhmonov oozes potential, and in his UFC debut submitted Alex Oliveira, a staple of the UFC welterweight division. Since then, he has won his next 2 fights, one via rear naked choke and another via KO following a rarely seen spinning hook kick. Shavkat's sister is also a pro MMA fighter, suggesting that there's something in the water out there in Kazakhstan. And following his first 3 wins in the promotion, he was recently included in the top 15 for the first time. But a lot of fans still don't know his name, unfortunately. But they will soon enough, that is for absolutely certain. As always, thanks for stopping by today, and remember to join us next time for some more fun and games. Also, why not do us a solid by sharing today's video with any MMA fans you might know of. Bye guys!